What's up, troop? In today's video we are going to master a track from start to finish using the brand new Ozone 11 from the guys over at iZotope. And then with today's channel sponsor, which is DistroKid, we could have that music ready to be released, but more on how we do that later in the video. Alright, so I've dragged in my track here. As you can see, it doesn't peak. We've got a bit of headroom to work with, and my file naming, it's All Night Long Mix 44.1 24B, which is 24-bit, and this is bounce 2. Very first thing that I want to do, just zoom in on the start right here, pop a little fade in. I'm quite good at making sure that there's nothing at the start, but we just give a little fade just in case, and as you can see, it looks all right. And at the end, we're just going to trim that down, do the same check that that does fade off okay. Awesome sauce. Now, quite a large loop around the main section of the track. That's because this is the most important part of the track, and it's what I'm going to make sure sounds the best in this master. Ozone 11 on here. And because the mastering assistant now does such a good job up front, we're going to use that to start things off. So to do that, we switch over to here, and it's saying, look, play the loudest section of your mix. For me, that's going to be the hook of this track, which comes right in the drop. Alright, so we can hear it's giving us a good starting point. It has made things way louder, so let's look at this straight away. One of the really nice things they've added in here is this little button. You could almost overlook it. And what this does is gain match even in our assistant view. So now when I play back, it's going to be a lot quieter, and it's been gain matched to the original. So when I bypass all of the effects, there's our original. And there's what it thinks the master should be. Now it's definitely got some things right. The overall mix and brightness is nice, but for me it's a little bit too harsh. One of the first things I'm going to do is use one of my own curves and see where it puts us in that respect. If we go over here into custom, I've got two curves in here. Believe it or not, I use Still Dre a lot, and it's just going to reanalyze what it picked up on the music and then reapply some of the effects. So now, definitely not as harsh. It's matching a different curve, best it can within reason. Now obviously this whole process leads up to you finishing your music and getting it out onto streaming platforms or for releases and download, and the channel sponsor DistroKid can help you do that. They let me get my music out to all of the major distributors, and they do that at a price an independent artist can easily afford. If you're ready to get your music or beats out there and want to release an unlimited amount of music each year, check the link in the description below for a discount off of your first year of unlimited distribution with DistroKid. Now from here I'm going to go into the advanced mode, and it's added most of the tools I'm going to use, and I can tweak them from here. One thing I found that Ozone 11 is doing quite a lot is adding a low end lift down here when there isn't anything below 20 Hertz. So one of the first things I'm going to do is remove that. I definitely don't want that to be happening. Now a really nice touch here is this EQ looks dramatic, but it's super subtle. Look, this is only 2 dB. We're only lifting up 1 dB, cutting 1 dB, really small amounts. Now I can globally choose how much I want this EQ to affect. If I jump back over to the assistant and pump this right up and jump back over, look, well now we can see we've pushed things quite a bit further. And you can see that with the white curve, look. Now if I go back to Mix Assistant, I pull that all the way down. As you can see, the white curve is now completely flat. So even at the maximum, we're making decibel adjustments. I think that's done quite a nice job actually, lifting up this area here. What I would do on the low end here, the low shelf, definitely don't need that at all. I would more than likely make that a high pass and have it as flat, perhaps not a 48 dB slope, but something like the 24 would be appropriate, or even a 12. Because honestly, we just don't need what's going on down here. We might as well save ourselves with it. Now, it's a utility we can add to have a quick listen to our overall balances and see if we want to change anything in that respect. We scroll along here and go to add a new tool and put master rebalance in. I'm going to bring that right the way back to the start here, even before the EQ. What I could do with master rebalance is I could take the vocals here, for example, and I can pump the vocals up individually. And just see, maybe that's something we need to do, or does the bass need to come up? Or come down even? Or are the drums okay? When this is in the chain, we can also see it in the Master Assistant as the vocal balance. So I can really lift the vocals out if I choose to. However, I think they're okay. I think the overall balance of the mix is good, and we don't need that in there. Let's have a listen to what Impact's doing. We can hit solo and solo out just this effect. That 100 millisecond envelope. I'd be inclined to potentially dial that back. If we press delta here, we can always listen to the difference. This is what's actually happening. Super, super minor. It's super down in the low end. I'd be inclined. Not necessarily utilize that at all, and we'll remove that entirely. Now, the imager, I'd usually use that for correcting issues, to be honest. It's made the decision here to really spread the top end. I can maybe understand why that is. We can solo the imager out and solo the top end. And it's just that real air, and it can spread that as much as it wants and honestly still have correlation. We can see here we're not getting any cancellation in our correlation meter. The main reason I would tend to use this is to spread out, say, the mid-range or the upper mids a little bit. If you've got a vocal you really want to push out, or if you want a snare drum to really hit and spread, you can usually do that around this range here like this. And that's quite nice. But we always want to keep an eye on our correlation. Here, where we've pushed it, we do start to get cancellation in places. So whereas that is nice, we'd maybe dial it back quite a bit and see if it's worth it. Yeah, that's quite a nice spread. Let's check our extreme low end. And yeah, it's a solid 1 in correlation. Even when we've got these big sweeping basses, look. Because of the way I've mixed it, it's consistently stayed correlated the whole time. If that wasn't the case though, we'd dial this down. And that would narrow it off even further. There are no issues there. We've enhanced it a little bit by giving that big top end spread and kind of like the top end of the snare, spreading that out a little bit, which are both nice. In terms of issues, there's nothing really there. Clarity is one of the new modules. Let's see if we can hear what this is doing. Okay, so if you're struggling to hear what it's doing, listen to the hi-hats, really focus on those when we A and B it, and it just lifts them up. This is where a lot of our brightness is coming from. We looked at the EQ and there's a very subtle boost, but it feels a lot more brighter than just a 1 dB boost. It's likely this is the case and this is lifting everything up. The idea of this is to add brightness without ever becoming harsh. It's like a very, very detailed dynamic EQ, essentially.
I couldn't have got it more wrong. I lie awake, still awake. I've been waiting all night long. No matter what, I'll still be here with you. I couldn't have got it more.
Let's just add in some brightness and balance. Now, my opinion is it's maybe adding a little bit too much, and I would dial this back a touch, maybe 5%. That'd be something that you would cross-check on your speakers, your headphones, and maybe reference against another track to see where the balance is. But for me, it's just a little too harsh. I'm just going to bypass the whole plugin now, kind of listen to where we're at. And I do really like the difference. I feel like we're missing something when it's taken away there. It just opens up the whole master there. I would argue it's being limited too hard, but we'll dial that back in a bit potentially. Stabilizer here doing very minimal work, very similar to clarity. I'm unsure how much of a benefit it's really adding. Okay, a little bit. How about in context of everything? Do we miss it when it goes away? I'm constantly reaching over here and adjusting my volume, so I'm bringing it down to a nice, really, really low listening level, and then maybe lifting it up a bit so I can really hear what's going on, and then bringing it back down, not to tire my hearing out. For you, it'll be a constant level, but I'm constantly able to adjust my listening level, which is really useful. So the stabilizer and clarity are really working together there. Let's have a listen to the delta on the stabilizer. Okay, so it's capturing the vocal and the high end in places. And it's taming the super low end, which is funny because it automatically added an EQ boost. I feel at times we are losing the big weight and body of the kick, so I think we'll take that away, to be honest. If I take delta back off, we'll then be able to hear everything again. Now that's like a decibel and a half of control. And to me, the kick's now sitting a lot more in the track again. How about with the bypass? There you go, so on my mix, the kick's got a lot more weight and a lot more thump. And I feel the maximizer and limitings where that's being lost. It's being pushed a little too hard. And then the rest of the balance is really nice. So we need to address that. We don't want to lose out on anything. Dynamic EQ. So what's done with the dynamic EQ here is it's picked out ranges that are going to affect it getting really loud, and basically it's controlling them to allow us to get more level out of it. And I think it's fine what it's doing. This is probably unnecessary. Oh no, it's found a resonance really, really well there. There's a massive time save. The assistant has found a nasty little resonance area and controlled it. I did nothing there. That's all in Ozone. Yeah, controlling that same area. I completely agree with that decision. This is probably harshness in the vocal. Yep. Nailed it. It's ridiculous, really, isn't it? So this is where I think a lot of the damage potentially is happening. What we need to do here is we take gain match off, because now we need to really figure out what level we're getting up to. And I'm going to dial this way back. Take gain match off. Now over here in my meters, I already have it set to RMS and peak.
my throat.
Maybe you want to turn it on to integrated if you're measuring LUFS though.
I've been waiting all night long.
Now we'll have a LUFS meter within here if you're using LUFS as your measurement.
Got it all wrong. I lie awake. Still
Short term we can push this pretty loud, but we don't need to go too far with it.
I'll still be here for you. I could have got it all wrong. I saw you there first time. I thought that I would love you, but I would run to make love. I was on the marathon. Feel free. I get my thoughts. I lie awake.
What I want to do here is I want to get loudness that's right for the track,
No matter what.
not have it dialed too far back that it's a useless mix.
I
If I
lie
was going for streaming only, I could play that to like the minus 14 kind of area. I want to go a little bit harder.
I'll still be here for you. I could have got it all wrong. I saw you there first time. I thought that I would love you, but I would run to make love. I was on the marathon. Feel free. I get my thoughts.
And we can make use of the soft clip in here. I think literally like 2 or 3%. This was introduced in Ozone 10.
No matter what. I'll still be
It
here.
gives us a little bit more feeling of loudness without actually being there. I'm also going to change the IRC modern
No matter what.
to transient.
Here for you.
I'm going to keep the character on fast and loud, and I need to put true peak on here.
I thought that I would love you, but I would run to make love. I was on the marathon. Feel
I think we're pretty good on loudness right there.
lie awake, still awake. I've been waiting all night long. No matter
Almost clipping.
still be here for you. I could have got it all wrong. I lie awake, still awake. I've been waiting all night long. No matter what, I'll still be here for you. I could have got it.
Let's have a little bit of transient emphasis, I think.
I thought that I would love you.
I want that kick to come back a little bit.
Make love. I was on the marathon. Feel free. I get my thoughts.
I said a little bit, but honestly, right up at like 50 is nice.
I've been waiting no matter what. I'll still be here with you. I could have got it all wrong. I lie awake, still awake. I've been waiting all night long. No matter what. I'll still be here for you. I could have got it all wrong.
At the minute, it's limited to minus 0.01 dBFS, decibel full scale. I was always taught minus 0.3, but
Feel free. I
it
get
seems to be that this is alright when you're using true peak and these kinds of limiters. When I was taught this was many years ago, where L2 was like the go-to limiter.
I could have got it all wrong.
I think we're pretty much there. And there we go, that was real time mastering this Liquid DnB track with Ozone 11. Hope you learned a couple of things. If you want to learn a bunch more about Ozone 11, check out these videos here where I go into a lot more detail on the features and utility of it and how to use it and get around them.